And hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sharing Your Journeys. So I have a new friend on today, and I'm really, really excited. So this is Tempest. I don't want to give away too much, obviously just because I want Tempest to basically just take the space and just own the space. So I'm gonna hand it straight over to you, Tempest, and literally let's chat. How did your whole hosiery journey begin, and how's it going for you at the moment?
Uh, well, teenage years, high school basically. I was playing American football at the time,
Mm,
and the coach made basically every linebacker and every offensive backer, back then wear pantyhose underneath their uniforms, to give them
mm,
a little extra edge on the field. And
okay.
while everything was going on with that, it was like things started to click upstairs, hey, maybe
Mm,
this is actually the right thing for me. You know, Fast forward a couple of years and, I graduated high school and it's like, while hosiery is, you know, whether someone is wearing, like tights or pantyhose or nylons in general, while it wasn't like a downright prerequisite, it was to me they always looked a lot better, and
mm.
I always gave, anytime that I dated someone or whatnot, it was always, hey, you know, uh, not sure about how to approach that with some people.
Yeah.
I mean, people were like seriously different. And then I started having a lot of emotional problems upstairs, like my mood would just change at the drop of a hat. And
Mm.
it got to the point where I'm like, okay, what the hell,
Yeah.
And I was going to college at the time, and I think, uh, it was a case of I was seeing the campus counselor there, and next thing that you know, she's doing an evaluation on me, and then she just grabs a book right off of the shelf, goes over, starts reading it while she's reading through
Mm.
the interview part of the eval, and she stops all of a sudden. She's like, "How do you feel about being male? Are you comfortable in your own skin?" I'm like,
Okay.
"I'm just putting this out there. Penis equals male, I guess."
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. And she ended up diagnosing me as having gender dysphoria, and uh, it was at that time that I knew that I always knew that there was something different going on,
Mm.
something that most people just would not tell me.
Yeah.
And next thing that you know, it was a case of, oh, here's what's going on.
Mm.
Well, about a year later, I started on hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started living full time, or as I said, really started living my best life.
Mm. Mm.
And, there have been a few bumps in the road, but everything's been pretty decent for me. My
Yeah.
moods had just leveled out, and I was actually able to feel normal. And
Wow.
while I was transitioning my wardrobe,
Mm.
uh, hosiery played a very big part in that because I would take like a pair of pantyhose or a pair of tights, and then throw it with, a pair of men's shorts and,
Mm.
some kind of t-shirt. And then I just started evolving everything from there and finding my own
Yeah.
niche. And here I am, coming up on 4 years later, and
Wow.
I can honestly say that, you know, it's been a huge part of everything going on, and
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier.
Oh no, I'm really happy to hear that. It's so lovely to hear because I can imagine what it must have I mean, I can only imagine what it must have felt like growing up feeling Mm. Sorry, I was just
Sorry,
gonna say
a
no,
friend
no,
of
it's
mine.
okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it must have felt really difficult growing up when you were younger in terms of probably not feeling normal. I don't feel right inside. I mean, this is obviously what I can only speak for what I've heard from other people in terms of it's been hard to deal with. You don't know what to do, what to say, how to think, what to feel, and all that kind of thing. So it's nice it's nice to hear the fact that you've actually come through it all okay. You've done your HRT and you're actually on a much better journey now, it seems, and living your best life now and everything. So yeah, but it's incredible. I will say it's definitely incredible and really, really brave. I'm gonna say really brave to do.
I get that. I get told that quite a bit from people,
Mm.
and it's like I always ask them afterwards, after they tell me that, I'm like, how is it brave just choosing to be yourself?
I
You
think
know,
yeah,
that's a lot like saying, uh, you're brave because you put your shoes on this morning. You know,
yeah, yeah. No, I get where you're coming from. I think from the way I kind of see it, I think it's a lot of people probably can't do what you've done. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's you've taken that step and gone with it rather than, oh, I'm thinking about it. Oh no, 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 I shouldn't. But but no, 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 I shouldn't. And you just back and forth the whole time. Whereas I think because I remember somebody else has sort of said that to me as well, saying, "Oh, why would you call it brave?" And I'm like, I think it's a brave thing to do considering where you are in society. Some people are very accepting and some people are so conservative. It's pretty much like, what the hell are you doing? This is not allowed on earth kind of thing. So I think just even stepping out in that sense would be that it can be a very hard thing to do, I suppose. But it's
yeah,
incredible. I think it is really incredible.
yeah. I mean, one of the biggest hurdles that I've come across is conservatives over here are always just so concerned about what I have downstairs,
Mm,
and all of that. And I'm just like, what does it matter?
mm,
Is my existence, that much of a complete bombshell to you that, uh, it's it's just mind blowing? And they're all like,
mm,
no, it's something that's not natural, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, what's not natural is interfering in what's best for someone else. I
mm, mm,
mean, trying to say what's good for one person is just as good for someone else is a lot like, trying to say, okay, if I'm on a diet, you're on a diet. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, yeah. I see where you're coming from.
And well, I mean, locally, I do have a lot of friends that are women, and they are
Mm.
extremely accepting. My ex-wife is also very accepting, and
Wow.
so is her new husband.
Mm,
And it's a case of the only people that I've really noticed that do have a problem with it are men,
mm,
and
mm.
when asked why they have such a problem,
Yeah.
they sit there and say, well, you're trying to deceive men into having sex with you or what have you. And it's like,
Mm,
no. Number one, I'm not trying to deceive anyone. Number two, most of the men saying that are just complete and utter dogs, that think that they are basically God's gift to women. And number
mm,
three, I would not be able to do that to my fiance,
yeah.
and it's like, they get bent out of shape because of that. And I'm just like, hey, look, believe what you want, you know.
Mm.
But the best part is now I have finally become eligible to undergo SRS, yeah,
Oh, so
and
what is SRS?
sexual reassignment surgery. It-
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
I cannot wait. I'm also planning to get facial feminization surgery and vocal feminization surgery,
Oh,
because
wow.
especially the vocal surgery, because I know I still have the voice of a man,
Mm.
and it's like, e
Yeah,
most.
yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's you know what? It's so fascinating to me, right, because I know much about transitioning. I know much about SRS. Yeah, yeah, I know bits about SRS. I don't know too much about it. But literally, I did not know about you can actually basically get your face changed and vocal surgery and stuff done as well. Like I never knew that. That's a whole game changer in a sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what they do for that is they soften the masculine looks, like, they'll narrow down the chin, you
Okay.
smooth out the corners of the jaw, reposition the brow bone, bring the hairline down a little bit, I mean, nothing
Wow.
like really drastic,
Yeah.
but it's to soften, soften the look and,
Yeah.
just go from there. And then with the vocal surgery, it's, like all that they do is just tighten up the vocal cords, cause the voice to naturally hit a higher register. And
Yeah.
I can't wait. I've been through vocal training and I can't seem to
Wow.
do it quite right. So
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so thank you for teaching me something new on here because I really appreciate that. I'm now gonna literally sit here and Google everything we've kind of spoken about today just so I can get a better understanding. But it's it's so do you know what? It's making me excited now hearing that, knowing the fact that like you can get all this done and actually you can potentially it's like a dream come true in a sense, isn't it? Once you get everything kind of once you it's not trying to I'm trying to make it sound like not so like oh, but yeah, once you've had like your SRS and you've had your facial surgery and you've had your vocal cords in a sense tweaked to become this person it's you know what honestly I'm mind blown I'm so mind blown it is impressive what they can do nowadays. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how long back in time they would do this anyway, but knowing the fact that obviously medicine and surgeries and everything is always progressing, it's it's so interesting. So interesting. Oh wow. Yeah, literally mind blown. I'm so mind blown. Wow. So can I ask you a question? Obviously, if you don't want to answer or elaborate, that's completely fine as well. So do you know in terms of this can apply sort of before you started your HRT or during or whenever. Was it quite hard to date? Did you have any difficulties dating or was it to you okay in a sense? Because I'm quite intrigued to know. And I'm sure a lot of my people who are in this kind of stage in their journey, will be pretty interested to know as well.
It was pretty good, you
Okay.
know. Prior to my separating from my now ex-wife, things were rocky at that point in time.
Mm,
And, you know, to help simplify everything in my life, I just said, hey, I'm just gonna go.
yeah.
You know, uh, before I started HRT, uh, I actually preferred, well, I didn't mind dating both, you know, both
Mm,
men and women. Uh, and then after I was more inclined to date men than I would date a woman.
mm,
You know, I mean, that's not to say that I didn't. You know,
yeah.
I've had numerous ex-girlfriends throughout the millennia. Little joke there. I mean, I always joke that I'm older than dirt. So,
Fair enough.
you know, and yeah, it was a case of, you know, it did shift for me during hormones to
Mm,
be a little bit more inclusive of men and not as inclusive as far as women.
mm. No, okay. Okay. No, it's just interesting to hear. Yeah, it's just interesting to hear because it's like I've never been able to ask really personal questions in a sense to be like, okay, well, would you pick men over women, or would you go with both, or are you just not bothered, or do you know what I mean? Because I know obviously there's so many different sexualities out there as well, so it's trying to figure out who, what, when, where, why, kind of thing. But it's interesting though, the fact that like you're now more like, for instance, yourself is more inclined to be dating men than actually women in a sense. um in that I just honestly, it's so interesting. Honestly, if you could be in my mind right now, it's like this, it's literally like this. I'm so glad I've got you on, honest to God. I think that's my biggest thing. But wow, just wow, wow. So right, so I'm trying to get back on track before I end up losing it again. So do you know, in terms of your dress sense, would you would you say you have a certain style? Because I know a lot of people think, oh, okay, just say if you transition, you're transitioning to a woman, naturally, obviously, you want to be wearing more feminine clothing. You want to be, obviously, because there is that whole thing of genderless clothing, but you want to be looking a bit more feminine. But then saying that, I've had conversations with people where even though they have transitioned and they've transitioned well, they still prefer wearing a mix of men and women's clothing depending on their mood or how they feel. And would you say it could be the same for you, or is it something completely different?
Uh, well, my wardrobe began to transition back in 2018
Mm,
while I was still in the process of coming out.
yeah.
And now, probably the only thing that I have that is even remotely masculine
Mm.
is a hoodie that I stole from my fiance.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. No, fair enough. Fair enough. So, okay, okay, I don't mean to like overstep boundaries or marks or anything, but your fiance now, like, what are their thoughts on the whole thing? Like, when you guys got to meet and the whole kind of dating up until the point you're engaged, like, what's that like?
I had known my fiance for years. Okay.
Okay.
I met I met him 20 I'm gonna say 2017.
Okay.
And at the time, he was dating another trans girl, someone else that I know, and they were hitting things off. Unfortunately, about 9 months later, they ended up splitting up. And, well, he bounced around. He dated a little bit between that
Mm.
girl and me. And January of this year, I was actually on Facebook, and I was going through all of my notifications, and here he
Yeah.
was throwing likes to, oh, not likes, the heart
Oh.
reacts to everything that I was posting.
Oh wow. Oh my God,
And
wow.
yeah, and I'm just like, okay, hold up. Is he trying to say something? Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm like, are you like trying to tell me something? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, get your hiney down here and tell me what you want to tell me.
Yeah.
And anyway, he come down and he's like, I've known you since 2017. You've always been a really good friend to me, and
Yeah.
I would love to start dating you.
Oh, that's
And
so sweet.
then, yeah, and then back in May, I had been dropping hints for some time to him that I was wanting him to pop a question to me,
Yeah.
like pulling out what is now my engagement ring, and like shining up the diamond on it, and I'm just
Yeah.
and just sit there. This ring is so gorgeous, you know, dropping
Yeah.
little hints here and there, and he finally picked up on it. And on my way to the store with my daughter and my grandson, he stops me right outside the store, gets
Yeah.
down on one knee, and asks me to marry him. And it was out of the blue, and he had my engagement ring with him.
Yeah.
And that was a no-brainer. That was an instant
Mm.
yes. You know?
Oh man. That is no, that is sweet. That is sweet. But it's interesting you say the fact that obviously he had dated a trans girl before you in a sense. So it's something how can oh God, I literally just lost my sentence. It's like it's not not trying to sound bad or anything like that because it's not just any kind of guy who's decided, oh, okay, yeah, this is who I kind of want to be with. I don't know enough about that. I think that's the thing. I can understand, obviously, if he's dated somebody trans in the past, it's something he wants and he's totally comfortable with, compared to, I'd just say, a male who's never done that before. And it is just, oh, okay, in a sense. But oh, do you know what? Either way, it's still great though. I'm so happy the fact that like this has got such an amazing like you've got such an amazing story. You've found somebody who seems to be so great and so accepting, and you're living your best life. I'm loving it. It's just so nice. It's just so nice.
Yeah. I mean, there is one thing that I always tell everyone. Okay.
Mm,
If if they're not sure about whether there's a possibility that they could be trans, if they're questioning themselves, I always tell them, know yourself inside and out. No one
mm,
else is going to know how you feel unless you say so. And that first starts with being honest with yourself about how you feel as a person and
mm.
where you fit into this complete shit show that we call life.
Yeah,
My apologies. You'll probably have to bleep that out or risk
it's all
getting
right. We've had
demonetized.
worse. It's all right.
Anyhow, I was telling don't worry about the rest of the world. Do right
Mm,
by you first before you worry about Joe Blow down the street who's going to make a snide comment about a man wearing a dress, which in
yeah.
the case of trans women, that's not the case.
Mm,
A man would never be able to go through HRT. A man would never be able to go through SRS, like vaginoplasty, and they would never be able to survive it.
mm,
It takes it takes a woman to really be open with herself, and it's regardless of the body that they were born into.
yeah.
Many of us I've actually encountered, there are quite a few of us that actually have qualities of what people would call intersex. Okay.
Mm,
I mean, like myself, I have double X male syndrome, you know, presented male. I even had kids,
yeah.
you know, but genetically I'm female. I have structures in my brain that are more defined as feminine than there are masculine structures up there.
Mm, wow. That's so, yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And just picking up on what you just said there, how do your kids feel about it? The whole the whole change, because I can imagine obviously they'll be like, well, you was daddy at one point, and do you know what I mean? It's just sort of how were they with it all, and how are they with it now in a sense?
There are a few that stopped talking to me.
Mm,
Uh, the ones that do, that still associate with me, I tell them, you have your choice. You can call me dad, you can call me mom, you can call me
mm,
pops, you can call me old man.
yeah,
You know, yeah, I'm a bit of a Trekkie, so
yeah.
I love Star Trek, just about every series that they've had of it, with the exception of Discovery.
Okay,
But
no, it's
yeah,
interesting. It's just interesting to know.
yeah. Whenever I offered them the opportunity to just call me old man, I'm thinking
Mm,
Deep Space Nine, the relationship between Dax and Cisco. Cisco would always call Dax old man, even though that in the
mm.
series Dax was two separate women.
Oh, okay. Okay, I've never watched Star Trek. I'm more of a Star Wars fan. Okay, but it makes sense now. Makes sense now. Wow,
Mhm.
okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, do you know what? At some point, because obviously I'm gonna have to start wrapping this up soon, but at some point, if you're happy to, I'd love to get you on back for a part two, just to sort of have a bit more of a conversation just about honestly, because I'm so mind blown. I have so many questions. Like I said, I'm gonna be Googling everything after this and watch. I'm gonna come back and be like, Tempest, can you tell me more about this, please? How about this? What about this? So literally, if anything, it's gonna be more sort of like, but I mean, obviously, I'd love to have you back on for a part two if you're more than happy to come back
Yeah,
on and share more of your journey. It'll be amazing just to hear more about it and learn so much more about it, because not many people speak about this kind of thing. They just expect you to kind of know like, oh, I'm transitioning. But a lot of people, for instance, like I Google it, whereas a lot of people are like, yeah, but what is that? What does that entail? What does that mean? And see, I think it'd be really, really cool. But yeah, but I was gonna say just one last note, because I always tend to ask everybody this, and I feel like you've kind of answered it halfway through. But I was gonna say, if you could leave a message for everybody who is watching, when this is gonna be posted, what would your message be?
probably the best message ever. always be true to yourself. Rest of the world, they're on their own. They're living their life. Know yourself. Know yourself better than those around you who think they know you better. And above all else, always have fun.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I totally agree with that. Especially always be true to yourself. Like that's literally been my tagline for years. But yeah, no, honestly, you know what? Thank you so much for coming on, Tempest. I really, really do appreciate it. It's been such a different story that we got to hear from you today that I've ever had on the series. So it was such a pleasure to have you on, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And so yeah, so hopefully we'll arrange a part 2 at some point.
Yeah. I almost forgot about this, but I do have a podcast, The
Bro.
Life of a Modern Middle-Aged Trans Woman.
Okay, I'll
Uh,
definitely be putting that in my description.
yeah. Uh, to my knowledge, it's only on Spotify right now.
Hmm.
I am trying to get it onto other platforms, including Pandora and Amazon Music. So,
Sweet. So for everybody who is watching, I will put that all in the description just so you can check it out as well. If you didn't quite catch it then. But thank you so much, Tempest. I really, really appreciate your time. And literally until next time.
hey, it was nice meeting you. So,
Yeah,
until
no,
next
thank
time, I
you.
guess.
Yes. Take care for now. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, toodles.